Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm Angela Wolf, and welcome to At Your Side Virtually. And today we have a very fun show. I've been drinking too much hot tea. Brother educators are in the house, and wait till you see what they're going to show you today. So we're going to have some things with the embroidery machine, the ScanNCut, and wait till you see some of the projects they're working on. So if you've never been here before, say hi, say where you're from. We are live on the Brother Sews Facebook and YouTube page, and Brother Crafting. And today for Brother Crafting, we have the ScanNCut. So you're going to be very excited. So, oh, hey, Jenny, great to see you. I see the wolf pack rolling in. So let's bring up Heather and Jennifer. We're not going to make them wait. If you missed the last time they were on, they had an excellent show. And wait till you see what they have this time. So let me bring up the girls. Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
good morning.
Good morning. So we've got Heather Banks and Jennifer Gleich, and they were here, about a month ago, girls?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yes.
They are both brother educators and both so talented. So for those that haven't met you yet before, Heather, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm really excited to be here again, Angela. Thanks for having us. I am a brother educator. I've been doing it, 4 or 5 years now and love it, but I miss traveling. I live in Tennessee, and so I'm just outside of Nashville. It's a beautiful place to live this time of year especially, and I'm really excited to be here and share some different things with you today on ScanNCut and embroidery.
Oh, we are so excited too. And Jennifer, great to see you, and I still love your backdrop.
Thank you. I'm Jennifer, and like Heather, I've been a brother educator for 4 or 5 years as well. I think I started with Brother a short time after Heather did, and I absolutely love it. I live in Oregon City, Oregon, which is just outside of Portland. I've lived here almost my entire life, and I've been missing the traveling as well. I miss seeing all of your faces, but doing this virtually, I'm glad that we can connect this way and still share our love of brother sewing with each other.
I so agree. And there are tons of people rolling in. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Angela Wolf. I'm a brand ambassador. I've been with Brother for many, many years, ever since It's So Easy started, which we just celebrated 10 years. 10
Wow.
years. 20 seasons, 10 years. Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yes.
So I'm a fashion designer, but then once I started embroidering, it all went downhill from there, as far as downhill as in no more time to do stuff because I'm totally addicted to embroidery, and the ScanNCut just makes it more fun. So, welcome everyone. So who would like to go first? Girl?
Let me start out by saying what we're going to do a little bit today. So Jennifer and I have talked and decided what we could share with everyone. And before we talked a little bit about taking designs in your ScanNCut into your embroidery machine and turning them into applique. And so we thought, let's reverse the process. Let's talk a little bit about applique designs, applique embroidery designs that you want to cut out fabric for, and you can use your ScanNCut. So we know we all have our ScanNCuts and we want to use them more often. We want to get the most out of them. And there's nothing that beats it in terms of accuracy and something that's fast and easy. So today we want to talk about embroidery designs, taking them to your ScanNCut. We're going to show you how we cut the fabric in multiple ways. And then we're also going to show you some cheater ways that you can get applique from designs that aren't actually applique. So we've been brainstorming and trying to come up with some different things we could talk about.
This sounds very exciting.
Yes.
So yeah, we're ready. Angela, do you want to start off at the machine? And I have my camera there and we can start out and get going.
Sounds great. While oops, 1 second here. I'm just going to pop her out for a second while she runs to her machine. And Jennifer.
Yeah, we didn't want anyone to be woozy while we did some camera work.
Yeah. Everyone take your Dramamine. You know it's a live show.
Right.
And Heather is there. I see that big, beautiful machine.
There it is. We are ready. Chris, talking to the cameraman. Got to get him on the ball here. All right. So let's start with some embroidery that is an applique that's actually already built into your machine. Now, I do have the luminaire here, but if you have a brother machine, it's going to have some applique in this embroidery. It's going to have applique in the machine. And we wanted to start out by showing you this because Brother has some things that are a little different about applique built into their machine. So if you pull up the first category, just as a quick perusal, you can see here some of the built-in. Now, you may not realize it, but you have an entire quilt block applique category, and there's 10 built-in designs, and we're going to look at those in more detail. We also, if you go to category number 5, we have some Zentangle designs, and I want to show you actually a sample here of one of those. And I have stitched several of these out. I'm going to back up so you're not so close. But here's an example of some of the Zentangle designs that are built in. This is obviously an applique there in the middle. Here's another applique. And you can see they're very, very detailed. And you notice that the Zentangle use blanket stitches.
I love that. In fact, let me bring you back over here. Sorry about that. I'm like trying to sneak over on this side. So those designs in there are some of my favorite. And I love seeing your quilt version because I've only done these on my garments, and this looks fantastic with that backdrop.
I really loved bringing in, I love the feather stitches that are built into my design center on our machine. And so I was super excited to use those. And this made a really great wall hanging. And of course, I cut the fabric out on the ScanNCut, so it was really easy to send it over, and that's what we want you to see today.
Very cool.
And when I talked about the quilt designs that are built in, here's an example of one of them stitched out. So you can see that they stitch out beautifully, and I want to show you how you can cut your quilt blocks out on your ScanNCut. There are several other categories that have applique, and I don't know if you know this about your luminaire, but here it is. Of course, there's an applique design, but if I push this button in the top right corner that looks like a hoop, and then I push the plus sign, then you can see your applique designs really big and bright and beautiful. And this is on more than just the luminaire, this little, the little picture of the magnifying glass with the plus sign next to it. So let me show you, there's one other category that has a ton of applique designs built into it, and that's category 11 with the little teddy bear. And let me go a little closer, and that's one of the ones I was going to show you today. But if we look here at number 4, which happens to be one of the ones I'm going to do, and here it is up close, you can see that it's a simple applique design where the 4 in the background is actually the fabric. So let me show, and don't think that Disney's left out. It's not. Disney has quite a few applique designs built in there too. If you don't find a specific design in here that is to your liking, or you're missing one, don't forget that you can go to iBroidery. And Angela, I was prepared this time. iBroidery.
Oh,
so iBroidery.com is Brother's site for designs, and it has Star Wars.
I love that. I don't even need to be here.
That was my cue card that I designed. Absolutely. But you can get Star Wars, Marvel, Disney, appliques. So if what's built into the machine isn't enough for you, there are so many more designs there. And Jennifer and I both were going to show you a few of those as well today. So let me get started on showing you some of the things that we think are pretty great about this machine. So I'm going to pull up a category that has applique. Like I said, I was going to start with the 4. And here's what I'd like you to notice about it in case you have seen this on your machine and you weren't exactly sure what it was about. You'll see right here that it says applique material, applique position, and applique. And that's a little different sometimes than what you see with other applique designs. You're maybe not entirely familiar with that. What I see most often, and I think you can probably agree with me on this, I'm going to move my hoop in front of here, is when you do an applique, you put a placement stitch down, you tack your fabric down on top of it, and then you cut around your fabric. So that would be traditional machine applique. And then, of course, there's a finishing stitch, like a satin stitch or something like that, that would go around the outside edge of this. So this is like traditional, and we see this all the time in machine embroidery applique. We want to make it easier, and I want to show you exactly how you can do that with your Brother machine and your ScanNCut. So here you see applique material, applique position, applique. Let me show you what we mean so that hopefully this is a little easier looking for my hoops. Here they are.
I love these little numbers. What great ideas for birthday gifts.
They're so cute. You can put them on bibs or.
Absolutely. Okay, here we go. So you can see right here in the right-hand corner that it says applique material. That is the first thing we're stitching out. We are not stitching out the placement stitch first. Now you can use it for that, but the first thing you want to do is pick your fabric. And I stitched out the number 4 here. Let me show you so you have a reference point. And you can see that my number 4 is in the pink fabric. So the very first thing I want to do is take that pink fabric and put it on my hoop. So here I have it on my hoop, and I'm going to stitch out the number 4. So I have done that right here. So you can see that I stitched out my number 4, and it's giving me a cutting line. So I can go ahead and I can cut my number 4 out, and that will become my basically my applique fabric. Now this is what Brother means when they say applique material, is that they want you to hoop the fabric that you're going to actually cut out for your applique and then cut it out on this line. However, we can of course do this on the ScanNCut, and I want to show you how easy that is. So let's go ahead and go straight to that. Before we move, here's what I want to do. I want to save this design to a USB stick. So I'm going to push memory, and then I'm going to push the USB. It's going to save. Give it a second, and then I'll know when it's done. It'll pop back up, and now this particular design, I haven't altered it or changed it at all. I'm just ready to take it over to the ScanNCut. So give me 2 seconds, and I'll be over there.
All right. That is very cool. Actually, I love those little numbers. My youngest sister, she's got 3 kids. 2 are 2 and 1 is 3. And I forgot all about these little designs. I'm going to be very excited to watch this. So Teresa, if you're watching this, I'm going to give you a heads up what you're going to get for the kids' birthday. What a great way, though. What a great way to do a gift and do a custom card even.
Yes, yes. Cards. Like I said, bibs, blankets. You could do it on felt and use them to decorate a cake. I mean, just so many crafting ideas.
Oh, I know. So for those of you that are just joining, be sure to, if you want to ask questions, I will make sure that I bring them up. I won't interrupt her in the middle of what she's doing, but they'll take any questions that you have. So, all right, come. Oh, there, I see the big old scanning.
Yes, okay. We're here. We're in front of our mat. And the mat that I have today, we're going to use more than one mat today, but this is the standard mat. So you'll see here, it's got the purple border, and it says standard tack adhesive mat, and it's ready to go. In addition to that, I'm going to use the standard auto blade. So, excuse me. This blade is the one you want to use with absolutely everything except plain cotton fabric. So let me show you why we're using the standard blade. Here's my applique fabric, and what I have fused is a double-sided fusible to the back. Now I have used Brothers, and I'm going to show you this because you might be able to recognize it in your ScanNCut stuff. It's called the Iron-On Fabric Applique Contact Sheet. It's got kind of a long name, and it is the best applique fabric contact sheet you will use. If you are looking for a double-sided fusible, and let me kind of show you the roll that I've been cutting from. It's much bigger. Mine's getting smaller from a lot of use. Kind of looks like wax paper a little bit. This is a fabulous double-sided fusible. It's my absolute favorite. I will forever use it no matter where I am and no matter what work I'm doing. This Brother just makes an amazing product. So what I've done is I've taken my applique fabric and I have fused it on. Now this still kind of feels like wax paper because I haven't peeled the release paper off. So let me do that. So I'm going to take off the release paper. Now this is trash. And I think you can see that it's shiny. And the shiny is the adhesive, the fusible. Now, we get so many questions about how to put something like this on the mats. And there's more than one way to do it. And I always want to make sure I say, if you have a way that works for you, that's fabulous. We're not trying to say how you have to do anything. But this is one way that works very well. So I'm going to take the fusible side and I'm going to place it against the sticky side of my mat. And then I'm going to use a brayer or a tool. I love my little Brother Rolly tool to get that adhesive stuck on. Now, don't worry. It won't stay there forever, I promise. The nice thing about the Brother Fusible is that it does not stick to your mat. If you follow the directions, which are to fuse it for around 20 seconds with medium heat, you will have something that stays stuck to your fabric and doesn't stay stuck to your mat. So this is the most precise way that I can get a cut without my fabric shifting around. And I do this all the time. This works beautifully. So I'm going to be putting my standard blade in with my standard mat, and we're going to cut our applique fabric. And let's do that. I'm going to get my cameraman to move to the front of the ScanNCut, and we will show you how this works.
All right. So while she is moving around, Jennifer, there was a few questions that I know you and I can answer. And the big question is about the fabric mat. And why would she not be able to use the fabric mat now? And we both can explain why.
Well, with the fabric mat, she's using the Brother Fusible product. So if you're going to use their fabric mat, you don't want to use a fusible product. The new fabric mat from Brother is super sticky, works great for just fabric. If you were to put the fusible product on there, it would really, really stick to it, and you would be fighting getting the fabric off of it. I believe that Heather's going to show both ways. So that's why she's not using the fabric mat at the moment, because she is using that fusible product.
Yep. That is it. Heather, you're back, and we're answering questions for you.
All right. You guys did great. You answered it, and you said exactly what I would have said, which is, yes, I'm going to show you both ways, because since we have the new fabric mat, it's really important to know the different ways to use it and get the best out of it. So let's start. You can see here that I have loaded my mat into my machine, and we're going to move up to, we're going to go back there. Yeah, we're going to move up to the camera position. He's going to set that down. And I want to show you, I have inserted my USB. Sorry, we thought we were a little bit, we're going to get a little closer. There
That's okay. When we do our live shows, we tell everyone, take a Dramamine, they'll be good.
We're trying to not move around too much, but then we're going to get focused. Okay, so we're at the screen. You saw that I had loaded my mat. Now what I'm going to do is retrieve the data. So let me scoot that back just a little bit so you can see that better. All right, retrieve data. Now, of course, we are using a ScanNCut DX machine here. So that's what the screen is. It is either Disney, this is the Disney version, or it could be what we call the 225, which is the blue one. So if you have the light blue one, solid color, or you have the Disney version, this is the screen you'll see. So we're going to choose the USB, as I saved it at the machine. Now, when you save something at the machine, it goes to the B pocket. So I'll push the B pocket. And now I'm going to look for it. Now, hey, what's all this PHX stuff I see going on here? So what it is that your Luminaire saves designs as a PHX, and your ScanNCut can read a PHX. Of course, we're super familiar with the fact that Brother's embroidery designs are PES, but your Luminaire saves them as a PHX. So your ScanNCut DX can read those files, which is pretty awesome that it automatically does that without me needing to make any adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And you will see there is our applique design. It's complete and total. Now I'm going to choose the shield button. And up here is the applique. I'm going to say OK. Now this is the size of it, and at this point I'm okay. I want to push set. Now, one of the things that we like to do here when we're us Brother educators, when we're cutting things out, here's my number 4, is we make them a tad bit bigger. We just like them to make sure they get caught under the stitches. So I'm going to push edit, object edit, and up here where you see the little arrows, pointing outward, is how I change the size. And we're so funny because when you ask us how much to change it, we usually say something like, oh, 5 or 6 beeps or clicks. And that's literally what we mean. So if I push this, I'll let you hear. About 6 clicks. Now, one of the new things with the upgrade with this machine that was free is you get this percent button. If I push percent, you can see I increase the size 2%. And that's kind of a fun new feature that we have. I'm going to say okay, and okay again, and okay one more time. And here we are. Let's go ahead and scan this in so that I can find my fabric. So our cameraman's going to lift this up as gently as possible. Oh, cameraman. You went a little fast.
We got it. It's interesting when you were doing that click, 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 because that's what you guys, I think it was you girls that got me hooked on that. Everyone will ask me how many percent, how much bigger? I'm like 3 clicks.
Exactly.
3 clicks. Yeah, 3 beeps. I always say 3 beeps.
3 beeps. 3 clicks. Okay, all we're doing right now is I'm scanning the background, and keep in mind, sometimes I get asked, why is the ScanNCut better than any cutting machine on the market? And you can scan in your fabric. So I didn't have to use a large piece of fabric. So he's going to come back up to the screen for me, and we're going to show you that it's scanned in my fabric. And I can actually make this a little darker for you. So if I push this button right here, this will darken my fabric, and you can really see my fabrics on there. I'm going to move my 4 up. Now, if I were doing this at home, it's hard to see where my 4 is. So that's the purpose. Oh, let me move this so you can see the button I choose. If you choose the wrench, then you can change your fabric to dark or light. So let me go back to light, say okay, and now you can really see the design and where it needs to be placed on your fabric. So I'm going to line this up. Say okay, and then the cameraman's going to move this really quick so that I can cut without moving my camera.
I think she's coming right there. She comes. There you go.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how that fits on exactly. While that's actually, I'm not going to block your cutting view. Let you see that.
Sorry, mailman's here. Everybody's dog's going to bark.
This is a very quick cut, and you can see that it didn't move at all. That sticky fabric stayed exactly where I wanted it to. So I'm going to show you when I peel this up. There's that one.
Oh my gosh, that looks great.
And then here's this guy. And let me show you what it would look like. So we have a stitch for applique that we need to put it in. It's going to go right over it. It's the tiniest bit bigger than the stitching. And now because it has a fusible side, I'm going to take this to my iron, fuse it down, and finish stitching it out so that when it's done, it looks like this. So super fast and easy. That's the first way we recommend cutting applique. Let me show you and answer everyone's questions now about using the fabric mat and why I would use that in a slightly different situation. So Angela, give me 1 second. I'll go back to the machine.
All right. So I'm watching everyone's going, oh, I'm drooling over this. So there's a few questions here. Yes, the ScanNCut does read PES as well. So some people said, oh, what's PHX? Well, that's the new format that's in the Luminaire.
Yeah, the Luminaire is a PHX, and the ScanNCut will read both of the formats. There's no need to take your PHX or your PES into a design software and turn it into a PHX, because the ScanNCut will read both.
Yvonne wants to know if the ScanNCut, let's see, what does she have in there? 350?
Will read a PH? I don't believe so.
I don't think so either.
Yvonne, a newer format with the Luminaire.
Yeah. See, I see Heather back up here. I'll bring her up here. Hey.
All right, we came back to the machine. I can answer, I think, that question as well. The 350 and 650, the ScanNCut 2s, they don't read the PHX file. They definitely read Brother's PES file, just the normal one you would buy off the web. But if you were trying to save from a Luminaire and go to the 350 or the 650, those can't understand those, the PHX file. So it was just one of those things that was upgraded. Okay, so one of the other things I want to show you with applique is when we were talking about the quilt blocks. So sometimes you don't mind if you have that thicker adhesive in the background, but sometimes you don't want that adhesive. Sometimes you just want it to be a plain piece of fabric. And I thought, what better, Jennifer and I talked about this, what better than to show you something that you actually have 10 quilt blocks in your machine. There's 10 different additional ones on embroidery. Let me show you, let's pick one. And if you're not, I don't know if you're familiar with this feature, but if I scroll up a little bit and I go to the letter I, that tells me everything about I want to know about this block before I even set it. So let me go a little taller there. You can see the size of the block, how many stitches it has, the number of thread changes, how long it'll take to stitch out. And then more importantly for what we're doing, it tells us the threads that are in it. And right off the bat, you can see there is nothing here that says applique. There's no applique position, there's no applique material. So if I take this to my ScanNCut, it's not going to be sure what I want to do with it because, hey, it doesn't say applique material here. But guess what? Good news is we can totally change that. And you don't have to have a luminaire to do that. This can be done in the Dream. It can be done in numerous machines that Brother has. So let me show you.
Very cool. That's very cool. And by the way, I just saw so many people write that they had no idea what these designs were for. So this is such a great tutorial.
Yes. Yes.
We agree. We totally wanted to show everybody what you could do with them too. So, okay, let me show you what the little secret is to this and how you can get your designs, something like this that doesn't say applique here, and get the ScanNCut to realize it, what it is. So I'm going to set this design. We're going to say that we want it. And then I'm going to, except you can't see quite my whole screen. So I'm going to go up a little higher. I'm going to choose the edit button. What I want to do is look at my thread palette. So here's my thread changes or colors. Go to edit, and this is my thread palette. And if you've played around with it, you know that if you move around, you can choose different thread palettes. And there are so many great ones to choose from. What I want to make sure, so if you're somebody who's been using sulky thread or Floriani, and that's typically where you leave it, you're going to need to make sure that it goes back to either embroidery or country. This is the only place that you will find this little button. And if I come down here at the bottom and I scroll to the bottom of the colors, you can see that there are 3 little buttons. I want to get close so you can see them. This is the cutting line, this is a positioning line, and this is a finishing stitch. And all 3 of these turn your design into an applique. So I'm going to back up and I'm going to show you how we do that. So I am on the red. I'm going to, I could change that color. So now it's blue. Let me move a little bit. I could make it, brown, whatever I want. But what I want to do is turn that basic stitch, which you can see right here is my cutting line or my placement stitch. I need to turn that into an applique. So I'm going to come back down to the scissors right there, push scissors, and voila. That is now an applique material instead of red. That is as easy as it is. So now what I need to do the next one, right? So I go to the red, and you can see here, this is just the placement stitch. Let's turn it into an applique. Come down to the bottom, push the scissors, and now it's applique. So that's how you're going to change this so that the ScanNCut can understand these designs. Let's save this. I know I haven't done them all. I would have done all of those red ones, but we're just for our purposes going to do a couple. I'm going to push memory, save to the flash drive, and now I'm going to go back to the ScanNCut. So give me 1 sec.
Okay, that is so cool. I'm watching the comments roll in. That is one of the big wow features. When I first learned how to do that, I was just like, I was floored because usually we're cutting everything out. Now in 3 seconds, you go throw it in the ScanNCut. And I can see so many people in here saying, my ScanNCut's still in the box. It's kind of like the serger. What are the 2 things that stay in the box the longest? I don't know. Would it be ScanNCut or serger? Because once they come out of the box, it's great. But
then there's no stopping you.
Yes, definitely. So
I saw someone did ask if those buttons are only on the luminaire. You can do this on the Dream Machine. You can do this on the Stellaire. You can change to your cutting applique material on those machines as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for answering that. I saw those roll in too. Hey, Joanne. Joanne's in there answering questions for us too. All right. Heather has the fabric mat up now.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys. So it was hard not to show the fabric mat last time because I'm so excited about it. So this is a brand new fabric mat. You'll notice it has this gold stripe and it says fabric mat down at the bottom. So there's no mistaking it for any other. The other way, oh my gosh, there's no way you couldn't know. It is so sticky. Holy cow. This thing is got so much stick. So we got all of our requests answered when Brother came out with the fabric mat. Now, the fabric mat pairs with the thin fabric auto blade, and it's just impossible not to know, right? Because they made them the same color. And again, they did that on purpose so that you would remember. So we have the thin fabric auto blade, we have the fabric mat, and then to top it off, we have our fabric. This fabric has no adhesive on it. It's just cotton fabric, and cotton fabric flannel, 100% cotton is what the fabric mat was made for. So since I don't have adhesive this time, I'm definitely going to use my fabric mat. And the only thing I have done to this is I have put some starch on it because it prevents your fabric from stretching and fraying. And when I go to peel this up later and I've cut my shape out, I don't want the threads to stay behind and unravel. So doing something like a little bit of starch helps really make wonders. I'm going to stick it to the mat. And however you do this is great, but I love my little roly brayer. Okay. Got that on there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go insert my blade. We'll take you over to the front. And then I have inserted the USB with the saved design. Let me show you how that pulls up on the screen.
Perfect. And so while she's going over there, Heather, you probably saw these questions come up. There's a ton of questions about Wi-Fi. And yes, the Luminaire does have Wi-Fi. And yes, you, depending on your ScanNCut, can hook it up to Wi-Fi. And there's a lot of questions on why can't you just transfer it through Wi-Fi, or why didn't she? Well, we can do things many different ways, but do you want to address that at all, Heather, about the Wi-Fi? Oh, I mean, not Heather.
I was going to say, well, I was being polite. You do have to put it on a USB. To take it from the machine to the ScanNCut. You can transfer designs between Canvas Workspace, which is the ScanNCut software that's free, to the ScanNCut, but not from the machine.
Thank you. And I saw a lot of people asking that. So I've got Heather back up here too with her screen, which looks great.
And sorry for the delay in answering.
No. Oh. No, you know what? I was like, oh, who are we talking to? You did fabulous, Jennifer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have got the screen back up here, and you'll see in a second, but we have loaded the mat, the fabric mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to retrieve the design again. So here, retrieve data. And then again, it's on my my USB. And good question earlier about the whole PHX, PES question. And of course, this ScanNCut will absolutely read your PES designs, but everything coming out of the Luminaire that was saved there is just a PHX. And I think sometimes that can be a little confusing. So we wanted to make sure people knew that. So I remember how we saved that just a moment ago. Pull that up. And there's the block that you saw in the Luminaire. Now, if I push the shield button again, you will see there's only one choice. If I had gone through and saved every single one of those, then they would all be here. I just only saved, I think I just saved one. This may be my other file. So again, I have one block. I could cut more than one. So if I wanted to cut several pieces of this, I would increase the number. And then again, I'm going to do edit, object edit, and increase the size 5 or 6 clicks. And you can go a little bit more than that. When I was playing around with this, I actually went a little bit more. I wanted a little more overlap. So again, sounds good to me, and that should be about right. Say okay. Okay, and one more okay. Now I'm going to lift the camera up and so that I can do one of those background scans again, and that's this little button here. I'm going to push the scan and start. So here we go. It's going to scan in again. One of my all-time favorite features of the machine, that I can scan this in and put my design directly over the fabric.
I love that. And it's so quiet.
Very quiet.
It's so quiet. Yes. Okay. That is about it. Now this will just take a second to cut, but I do want to, we'll get that back in there so you can see. I think we need closer because of the light.
Yeah, just a little closer because it's a little bright.
Yeah, let me come down. How's that?
Great.
Okay, so you can see my shape. I'm going to drag it over my fabric so that it's centered, and there we go. It's ready to cut. All right, I'm gonna say okay and start.
And here we go again.
Here we go. One more time.
I love that fabric too, by the way.
Oh, isn't that gorgeous?
Mm-hmm.
I have it in gray too.
I saw somebody ask, did you send it wireless? No, she put a USB stick in there, just in case you missed that. And by the way, I see a lot of you that have joined after we started. You can always watch the replay of this. If you're on Facebook, just share it to your page and then you won't miss it at all. You can go to Brother Sew's YouTube page for crafting or sewing and watch all of these. You can binge watch all weekend. We've been doing this since March. You'll be very busy.
Okay, it's done. Do you guys want to see?
Yeah.
All right, so this again was our very sticky fabric mat, but you'll see what great results we get. So I'm going to lift this up, and there are pieces. Now, this did cut them separately. I know it looks like they're all one piece, but this is cutting each one individually. So here's one. You can see how easily that came up, and it's not fraying or coming apart or, more importantly, distorting on the bias. This is perfectly cut, easily removed, and let me show you. I can't wait to show you how you can do this then. So I'm going to move just where he is right there. I'm just going to move the block over. So I started stitching this in the hoop, and I have some gray that I already put down. And now remember, this doesn't have any fusible, but I don't really want it to move around too much. So I just get a glue stick, a water soluble glue stick, and I just, put some glue down just a little bit. I only want it to stay in place long enough for me to stitch it. And this is a little bit bigger than my stitching line, which is perfect, just what I wanted. Place that, and now I can just go to town placing all of my pieces, and I have to think about where they go, but they alternate. So there are my next set of pieces. Here's an example, slightly different colorway, same block, stitched out with the satin stitch. Here's one of the,
I love this.
Yeah, and here's one of the alternate ones that are in there, same fabrics. All of these were cut on the ScanNCut without any adhesive on the back. And I don't know, what do you guys think? I think this is a great technique.
It's a great technique, and it saves, you can have all your pieces cut and setting next to your machine, and you can just go to town.
I love that. And I love the tip about just gluing it down just to get started. That's a great one, because I know so many people are used to just having the backing on, and this is another option.
Absolutely. It works perfectly. It's water soluble, safe for quilting and sewing. So I'm not going to end up with some sort of ugly mess on my quilt. So I'd say that would be the only tip. But okay, now that you have an idea of, oh, sorry, Angela, go ahead.
Heather, I just have to ask, now that I'm seeing how gorgeous this is, on the Luminera with the new sashing, can you put a sashing, is this something that you could actually put a sashing border around then when you're finished and just keep expanding it?
Oh my gosh, yes, you totally can. And I was thinking about doing that. We have the 6-sided sashing borders, and I was actually going to do that. Angela, you beat me to it. I haven't done it yet, but I was going in the same direction. The sashing would be perfect.
Oh, awesome. So when you go back, I know you have more to do here, but when you come back in December, you might have to show that, because that would be very cool.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, in your ScanNCut, you have hexagon pieces that you can cut. And you can cut borders for your blocks, and then use all of the pieces together and make one quilt with all your hexagons.
Definitely. You know what, Jen? I think we need to do a show on using the quilt blocks in your ScanNCut and putting those together, because there's over, 140 quilt blocks in your ScanNCut? Yes. We got to do a show on that.
That sounds awesome. Everybody's saying yes, because some people said, show us how to join the blocks. That's going to be perfect.
Oh,
I also saw a question or a comment that somebody said that they were going to have to upgrade their 350, their ScanNCut 350, so that it would read the PHX or PES files. I just wanted to point out, if you noticed, that Heather didn't have to adjust her blade at all when she cut these, because the 225 and the 230 have the auto blade feature. So that's just another benefit of the new ScanNCut models.
Oh my gosh, I love the auto blade.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Jen. And if you guys are ready, let's head back to Luminaire, and we have one more trick to show you on applique.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you when you get back over there. So I'm watching the comments roll in about their ScanNCuts. And yes, you know, it's just like many things in life. As you go, cars change, things change, technology changes. So there's nothing wrong if you have one of the older ones. It just might not do everything that we're showing. But go through that machine, because it will do a lot of things on there that you might not even realize.
Yes, and you know, like you said, technology is changing, but the auto blade feature just makes things so much faster.
And Lucy, I see your question. We'll get to that towards the end. She's asking about mats and stuff, about sticky mats, and that's always a question that comes up. First off, I think Heather is just ready, so we'll grab that from you, Lucy, in just a second. So, are you ready, Heather? I think I got you up here.
Okay, guys. Last thing. Go ahead. If you have something that's not an applique, but you really want it to be, and in this case, you might be thinking Disney, or what if you're thinking patches, things that you want to applique or make? And let me give you a couple examples. Here is one. This is a design that you can buy on embroidery that I have made into a patch. This is just an applique, and we have a button for this. Jen and I are super excited to show you how that works. But if you want to turn something that you can't traditionally maybe turn into an applique, or it's just this is all just fill. This is all fill stitch, no applique here. But we were able to turn it into an applique. Here again, I took a design that was applique, and I stitched it onto a zipper bag. Now, I made the zipper bag, so I stitched it to the vinyl ahead of time. But you could certainly do this on a multi-needle where you didn't have to do this. So this is an applique that was obviously not able to come out of the machine, so we'll show you how that works. And here's an example. This is the one I can show you in the machine right now. So this is a placemat. It's kind of hard to see the whole thing. But see these grapes? These grapes are just fill stitch. There's nothing about these that are an applique, but I was able to make this beautiful design this way. Let me show you how. So you go into your designs, and this one happens to be number 6, and it was number 1. So again, let's pull that up so you can see it bigger. That's all fill stitch. There's nothing about that. And if I push this little I button at the top, check it out. Those are just thread changes. There's nothing about that that's an applique. So here's what you can do. Push set, and then if you go to edit at the top of your screen, and this is not the only machine that does this. Look at your machine. Lots of brother machines do this. Push edit, and then push the instant applique button. It looks like a shield with a crown inside of it. Watch my design change. I'm going to push that button. It's going to give me an option. How far away do I want my stitching to be? And I'm going to say, oh, just for the sake of you being able to see it, be able to see that grow outward, but maybe I'm happy with it there. Push OK. And now look at my thread palette. Here we go. You'll see that it has added material, position, and applique. So I have just turned this with one click into an applique. And that's how you can do something like this. That's how you can do a patch. That's how I can now take fabric and cut it out on the ScanNCut. And Jen, you have several you might want to share because they're so
Yes.
That is so cute, by the way. And what an easy way to make an applique. So now I saw so many people asking, Disney can turn into an applique, and that's how you do it.
That's it. Yeah.
All right, Jennifer, let's see what you have. I'm going to take Heather out for a second.
Disney. I'm a Disney girl. You probably see my Mickey or my Minnie back there. So here's the Cheshire Cat that's built in.
Oh, I
And
love that.
I turned him into an applique with the instant applique button and just put him on the back of a little girl's denim vest.
Oh, that is so cute.
And then I took some placemats. I had some placemats, and I just picked up some placemat blanks, and I did Disney Princess.
Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous.
I just love that.
Into a placemat for a little girl or for myself.
For yourself, Jen. I love it.
And then I'm always a Little Mermaid girl, so I took Ariel and made her into a applique for this placemat.
Oh my
And
God,
so
those are so cute.
just put them on the placemats, and that's how you would do the Disney.
And those are just pre-made placemats, Jen, right? You didn't have
They
to.
are pre-made. I bought them at a craft store. And I don't know how well you can see this on camera, but for my fabric, my background fabric, because Heather will show you how she cuts it out. This I actually did some sparkle organza for the background fabric.
Oh my gosh, I was wondering why it was so sparkly.
Yeah. So I got a little creative.
Very cute.
And those are adorable, Jen. Absolutely adorable. Let me show you. Oh, do you have more, Jen? Or those were them?
Those are the instant applique ones.
Okay, let me show you a couple more. Again, here's some more patches. So again, a Disney design that I would never have been able to take off, and I've turned into a patch. Here's another way to use a patch. This is a wall hanging, and at the bottom, I took a patch and I sewed it on for like a 3D effect. So you can kind of see that. Now, another fun thing to do, and I really enjoy this, is you can take words like I have on the screen, and you can turn these into a patch. So what I did was I just pushed the instant applique, said okay, and then you can see it's now an applique. Here's an example of what you can do with that. So I had stitched out some background, and this applique is now, the words are the applique. So I didn't even have a design yet, but I wanted to somehow fill up this background, and that's all it is, oops, I pushed my, that's all that was. That was just me picking some words that were in the machine and turning them into applique.
That's so easy. I also put the embroidery website down below because I saw some of you asking where she got some of those. And you just go to embroidery, you could download it and bring it to your machine. And I saw somebody here say they only have a 4x4 hoop. Well, just find a smaller design in the Disney.
Yes.
You have to look at your machine to see if it has that applique function. Not all of them do, but many of them do.
Correct.
And I see the question of what material do you use for the applique? You can use whatever material you want. I used organza.
Yes.
You can use cotton.
This was just a thin cotton. There's really, she's right. And I mean, the fact that she used organza, Jen, just shows how you really can use anything.
Yeah, that is so cute. And this has been such a great lesson. I see people saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go back and watch this over and over and over. And you can. That's the beauty of the live shows. Darby says, adorbs.
So I have a couple more samples that I can show while Heather finishes up.
Oh.
I see the embroidery is streaming there at the bottom of the screen. I purchased these designs on embroidery.
Oh my gosh, that's so adorable. Look at the background.
And I brought it into, I cut my pieces on the ScanNCut and then brought it into my Luminaire and added the background from the Luminaire. So we have Santa. And then we have his little reindeer, Rudolph.
His partner in crime.
Partner in crime, exactly. And then at the beginning of the show, Heather showed the little artichoke, and I went ahead and did a little banner for my kitchen.
Oh my gosh, that's cute.
So all cut with the ScanNCut, and it's the built-in design, built-in fonts. I did some styling with the font. So you can have a lot of fun with applique.
Well, you sure can. And there's a quick question here. Let me just I'll bring all three of you up. Oh, Heather's ready too. But before you get going, I just want to, I had it up on the screen. Let me see if I can find it again. Okay, so Dorothy, she has the first model. Can she upgrade to this version?
First model of
ScanNCut. I'm thinking she's, well, yeah. Are you talking about the ScanNCut, Dorothy, or be a little more specific and we can probably help you? But if you're the first models of the ScanNCut, no, because the newer models are the ones that have the auto blade with the fabric mat and things like that. I'll find that question.
While Heather's finishing up, with the instant applique that she just showed, if you want another way to go and just have step-by-step instructions, if you have the Dream Machine, it is actually in the Dream Machine playbook. If you own the playbook, it's on page 100 for your Dream Machine, and in your playbook for your Luminaire, step-by-step instructions are on page 122.
Perfect. And, I would really encourage anyone who has one of these machines, those playbooks are priceless. For the Luminaire, I have a master class, but and I show a little bit about applique, but not as much as this. This is wonderful. So those playbooks are so great, though. You can keep them right next to your machine, go through. It's like doing tutorials nonstop.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I was thinking if you think anybody would be interested, we could show very quickly how to update your ScanNCut so that it has the latest version.
That would be wonderful.
It's it's so quick and easy. I thought, why not just have people know? Because if you don't have the latest version, then you're missing out on all the changes and updates that Brother does. All you got to do is first of all, you need to be connected wirelessly. And that is a simple process where you're just pushing the wireless button and you're following the tutorial, just like you would connect any machine to a wireless network. But once you are connected wirelessly, all you have to do is push the wrench down here in the bottom right, and then you scroll down to where it says version. And this is all the way towards the end. See here where it says version 151. I happen to be at the latest, and this is a good check to see if you are. Click version, and then you just click the wireless button, and I'll show you what happens with mine. Since I already had the update, it just says no update. But if you were behind, it would do it for you automatically right then. And that is it. That's the only thing you have to do.
Super easy. That's where the Wi-Fi really comes in handy.
Holy cow. Yes. They've made the Wi-Fi very simple so that you don't have a card. You don't have to do anything additional.
Yeah. I see a lot of people asking about, now Jennifer, I think Jennifer needs to skedaddle out of here soon. She has someplace to go, so I don't want to keep you. This has been so informative, and Heather and I can stick around for a few minutes and answer questions, but Jennifer and Heather are both going to be coming back, so just mark your calendar. The week before Christmas, there's a whole week. We're doing daily live shows. You're going to see educators pop in. You're going to see brand ambassadors pop in. Every day we're going to give you little things to give you inspo to work on projects. It's going to be a lot of fun, and both of these girls are going to be coming back for that. So
yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Heather, can you stick around for a minute to answer questions? Because I know Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, Jen.
And I'll see you all soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
See ya. All right, Heather, there's a couple questions in here. So a few people are asking about the mats. So we explained why you cannot use the fabric mat when you have a backing on it. Okay, so we got that. And if you missed that, you can go back and watch the video. But a lot of people are asking how to keep your mat sticky, how to clean them off. And we've talked about baby wipes and things like that. What's your favorite thing, Heather, to keep your mat in good shape?
Well, almost immediately after I use it, those fabric fibers really build up fast. And what I have discovered is if I get a little bit lax in cleaning it off after every use, those fibers start to become embedded. And the microscopic fine ones, they're hard to ever get out if you don't use that, if you don't do anything. So I go straight to the baby wipe after at least a couple uses, at least in the area where I had it. Some gentle soap and water is also very useful. You don't want to use anything with alcohol or anything that could strip the adhesive. And this new fabric mat is very sticky. It's going to last a long time.
Yeah, it's great. And definitely keeping them clean. It's funny you say that. If I get lazy and I let it go for a few times, all of a sudden it gets embedded forever. You're never going to get that out.
It's so true. Yeah, it's linted.
Kathy wants to know, what is the number of the newest model? And by the way, you can call your brother dealer also and go test one of these and see them in person. But it's the SDX. What is the newest model? The new Disney one?
So it is still a 230. They were both 230s, but this is, instead of the 230D, it's now the 230DX.
Yeah.
So
yes.
And with the DX, you get a lot with it. You get a lot of vinyl designs, which we haven't even talked about, all the special vinyl blade that comes with it. So there's a lot more with the DX that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, definitely. Delia, we got that question. And so this was a good one. What fabric would you prefer to use for a patch?
That is a great question. And I have played around with a lot of them. So I was showing you these different patches, and you can see these are not, draped down. They're not falling. They're obviously stiff. And so it depends on what you want your patch for. When I actually wanted it on something like this, on a placemat, I did not want it to be that stiff. So this is just cotton fabric with some stabilizer behind it. This is very light. But when I want an actual patch and I want this guy to stick out and be noticeable, what I will do, in this case, this was a couple layers of twill or denim, and they're fused between some fusible applique. So like that Brother double-sided adhesive, I fused 2 layers together, and then I use that as my patch. Of course, you can cut this out on your ScanNCut. There's no issue with that. But this was a great way to get something flat. Just use more than 1 layer of fabric, or use something more stable.
That's a great idea. Okay, Louise, I had this up here before, but I didn't answer it. So she says, does that applique get done before the embroidery? So she's kind of moving things around. Like, if you bring that up, would you do the applique first, or how? Each project would be different, though.
It kind of would. So on the placemat, you can see here that I wanted the placement line. So if if it has been added to the end where the applique, and that what would happen, so it would go to the end of it, I would scroll down through the numbers until I found my placement line and stitch out my placement line first, so that I could then go back and put my finished design on top of it. If you want to stitch directly on here, you could just do the design first and then do the applique around it at the end. It just depends on the order that you're going. Are you doing it like this, or you're going to put it on top, or Jen did, where she did it with the, what did she say she used, that nice fabric? Or do you want... Thank you. She's using organza. Or do you just want to do it directly onto here? If you're just going to do it directly onto your project surface, then you can just stitch it out in the order that it comes up.
Yeah, perfect. And then I see a ton of questions about the playbook. So there's a playbook for the ScanNCut that Cindy Hogan wrote. You've probably seen her on here showing that off. That's a great playbook. There's one for the Dream Machine. I don't know. Somebody asked if they still carry that. You have to call your brother dealer and ask. I don't know for sure. And the Luminaire has a playbook, the Luminaire 1. The Luminaire 2 has a master class. That's the one I've done, where you take, I think there's 250 videos in there.
A lot.
So you will learn a lot. So you got a book and you got videos, a lot of things to learn. And then for the ScanNCut, you've got a book. And you've got all these Facebook Live shows to go back to. Wow.
Additionally. Oh my gosh, there's so much available to you. And I can't say enough how those playbooks are step by step. You do not have to start at the beginning and go to the end. Just pick it up, find a topic, find instant applique, and just go through the steps. There's pictures step by step. They're very easy to use.
Yeah. And yes, Marcy, there is the playbook for ScanNCut. And I know you follow Cindy Hogan. She's the one that wrote that, but you can call your brother dealer and get that. I actually have been scanning mine. It's in my car, believe it or not, because I was flipping through it while we were going on a little road trip a few days ago. So it's wonderful. Cindy, good job.
Oh, yes. It's a wonderful ScanNCut accessory. Definitely.
Definitely. So Heather, this was just awesome. And Jennifer, I know she had to go. This was so informative, and I cannot wait when you guys come back in a couple weeks. I believe it's the 3rd week of December. So just watch the schedule on Brother Sew's page. You'll see all of the events, but just mark your calendar for every single day the week before Christmas, because we have live shows every day and a lot of fun things to get you inspired. I got to work on those. I like those placemats. Those are pretty cute.
Definitely. And you're going to need them for Thanksgiving, Angela. You only got a week. You got to get busy.
Oh, I better get going. Yes. Speaking of, have a wonderful Thanksgiving to you. And for the rest of you, thank you for joining us. Next week, we do have some live shows at the beginning of the week before we go off for our turkey dinner.
Exactly.
So, yes. So just look at the schedule on Brother Sews, and I will be posting on my page too. So this was awesome. Brother, thank you for letting your brand ambassador and educators take over your page. And you can always ask questions or call your brother dealer if you want to play on one of these great machines.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you for having me, Angela.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a
Bye,
great
everyone.
weekend.